Good evening. I'd like to start by mentioning that Velocity Mistletoe is my Christmas drag queen name. And I'd just like to spend a few minutes sharing with you a few of my more traumatic Christmas memories. When I was little, I was afraid of people with beards, men especially, and Santa Claus in particular. I loved the idea of Christmas, just not with Santa Claus, and every time that we went somewhere that Santa was scheduled to appear, I insisted that we leave before he arrived, and we did. I even refused to go to the toy department, Meyer and Frank, because I was terrified of the life-sized wax figure of Santa Claus coming out of the darkness, and was convinced that if I walked past it, it would suddenly come to life and grab me. So I sat on the carpeted stairway at a safe distance and just stared at it, waiting for it to make its move. There was also the cinnamon bear at Lippman's department store who looked nothing like a bear, but instead resembled an enormous serial killer that wandered around a department store handing out gingerbread cookies during the holidays. You would not want Cinnamon Bear to follow you home. My mother finally became worried enough about my fear of Santa Claus that she decided to tell me that he wasn't real before it became necessary to hire a Christmas psychologist. This was the same mother, after all, who used to tell me that there was a little graveyard for children who couldn't wait for Christmas. This all began when I started to announce 3 or 4 times a day that I couldn't wait for Christmas. My mother would then sigh and say, you know, once upon a time, there was a little graveyard for children who couldn't wait for Christmas. There was little Billy who couldn't wait for Christmas. Then there was little Susie who almost made it, but she couldn't wait for Christmas either. And little Betsy, and it was just the day before Christmas too, but she just couldn't quite make it. And it's recently occurred to me that these children were probably put there by mothers who couldn't wait for their children to leave home. One of the highlights of the Christmas season was A Charlie Brown Christmas, which first appeared on our black and white TV set when I was 4. There was Charlie Brown and Linus and Lucy, but also Shermie, Frida Pigpen, and the 2 twin girls who all mysteriously disappeared. And I wonder if they're in the same graveyard that my mother was talking about in the previous paragraph. After she got remarried, we would submit our yearly Christmas lists until one year it was decided that what we really wanted was steelhead fishing clothes. Everybody except for me, of course, because I was the sane member of the family, and the idea of being forced to stand in freezing rain with a fishing pole just didn't seem very Christmassy at all. And every year, on the night before Christmas, we'd visit my stepfather's best friend, who was an accountant, and perhaps the most annoying man on the planet. When we'd arrive, he'd always be wearing this stupid red cardigan with a clip-on bow tie, and he'd say, "Hey, are you ready for some clam chowder?" To which I'd reply, "No, thank you," after which I would be shepherded down to the basement where the kids were. I'd take one look at them and go back upstairs because I knew what other children were capable of, and the rest of the evening would be spent hanging out with the adults who had been drinking heavily and seemed to like me just fine. As a matter of fact, one of them, an elderly attorney named Mr. Nostel, seemed to like me even more than the other adults and would invite me to sit on his lap while he serenaded me with his rendition of Rambling Rose as the Nat King Cole record played on the background on the hi-fi. Yes, it was a little creepy, but after all, he was an attorney. And years later, after I'd gone away to college, I saw him at the annual Christmas party and told him that I had decided to become an artist instead of going to law school. He put his arm around me and said, "Well, Joe, I think that's just wonderful. You know, artists are wonderful. They're wonderful people. And artists also tend to be very nice people. They're nice, wonderful people. They may be homosexual, but they're nice people." And I thought about that evening years earlier, sitting on Mr. Nostel's lap, and thought, In recent years, my friends and I have celebrated Christmas by making ornaments, which are Christmas ornaments made with glitter and cut up 1960s Playboy magazines, and mostly it's fun to just say pornaments. Everyone gets excited when they hear someone say, "We're making pornaments." "What's that?" they ask. "Can I have a pornament too?" Yes, everyone may have a pornament. And by the end of the evening, we're all completely covered in glitter and just a little bit tipsy, and we're all eating spaghetti carbonara and listening to Sarah Vaughan. And nobody has killed anybody else, and it's a Christmas miracle. But everybody secretly wants to kill everybody.